Hello, everyone, to Self-Sabotage Buster, ending the self-sabotage cycle in business. I'm Joy Fairhall from Mind, Body, Joy, and I'm all about filling every single day with joy. So if we haven't met before or you haven't seen me online, I'm Joy, and I specialise in supporting you to joy literally. I literally support you to joy through mindset healing. Mindset healing is focusing on your unique mind-body link, as making it a unique and highly personalised experience. It's all about you. I use a range of tools and techniques from my huge toolkit of 30 plus years experience, and specifically use positive psychology and mindfulness. And for those who don't know what mindfulness is, mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way on a purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. That really aligns with the way I work, is non-judgmental, because our life has shaped us. And that's exactly what I do. I make you aware, curious, and stronger in your life to explore and accentuate what's strong and to undo what's been believed of you in the past. I focus really on making things super simple and super quick, so you can get back to living the life you desire and deserve, and to have more joy and happiness in your life, no matter what you're focusing on. So that's a little bit about me. So let's just get into it. Is this you? Are you sick of the emotional roller coaster that business is? You know, it doesn't have to be that way. Imagine if you could step into the future you really desire. People tell me they do the work and the action, but when it really comes and counts, they just don't deliver. They just don't turn up for a meeting, or they don't deliver a course, or they don't do anything past one successful thing. You stop yourself following through for self-sabotaging reasons. And quite often it's because you don't even know what the self-sabotaging is. So when you fail, quite often you're just protecting yourself from a pain that's happened in the past. It's not your fault. It's your brain's fault. It's protecting you from pain, because everything we do for a pleasurable outcome. And I'll explain this in more detail during the next hour or so. So a little bit about today. We're going to understand what self-sabotage is, the definition, and how we can recognise it. And also, am I really doing it, and why? Why would we be self-sabotaging our business when it's the thing that we love the most, where we spend the most amount of our time? It's where our passion is, our love is, and where we can make a difference in other people's lives. So why would you self-sabotage it? We're going to delve into that a little bit more too. And then how to tame it just a little bit. Just being aware that we've only got an hour together today. So it's really just an awareness session on what could be the cause of self-sabotage, recognising where it's hit you in the past, and also what we can do. I've got 3 keys that you can do near the end that will raise awareness of if you are self-sabotaging. So what is the definition of self-sabotage? It's a bit of a rhyme or a ditty. It's actually working unconsciously against the things we want consciously. Well, what do I mean by this? If you imagine yourself as a ship, the conscious mind is the crew and the subconscious is the captain. You would think it was the other way round, wouldn't you? However, what this means is that working unconsciously, it means your unconscious or your subconscious is working against the thing that logically we want. We want a business that's sustainable. We want a business that's successful. We want a business that is going to give you the outcome of that business that you want, whether that's a work-life balance, money, success, helping others, making a difference in the world. But this is what self-sabotage is: working unconsciously against the things we want consciously. So how do we actually recognise this? How do you actually understand? Do we just go all aboard, self-sabotage roller coaster, here, line up, and you hope that you're not on the line so they can turn you away? But how do we recognise it? The most simplest way is to lay out your business plan, your financials, and your journal or a diary or whatever you use to write down your emotions. Lay out all three of those and see if you can marry up the dips with the time in your diary that's filled with your innermost fears, or the emotions where you say, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, there's no way I can teach this person that, I'm not sure what to do, I'm working so hard and getting nowhere. And then look at the dips in your business and you'll see that the times you've written fearful or sad or procrastination or whatever the emotions are, they will marry up with the dip. If you look at the times when your business is soaring, have a look in your diary or your journal and read the emotions. I bet you they're happy, confident, sure, positive. They're all positive emotions. So here's my first tip for you. Go out and buy yourself a pretty journal or a diary or just a notebook and start recording your emotions, not events, or if you want to do events, the emotion around events, because that will give you the biggest insight of all. Now, I know most of you know about beliefs, the ones where you have your story about something major in your life that has become a limiting belief. And you don't have it anymore, right? Because of all the mindset work you've done in the past. Well, I'd like to explain about how it can be the smallest thing in your past that may be the real root of your self-sabotage. So please bear with me as we go through this. This is really, really important and quite often the crux of self-sabotage and the smallest step forward into awareness of what is causing the self-sabotage. So the definition of belief is right here. It's your individual interpretation of what you, and that's really important, you see, hear, and feel of the outside world. So, yep, we know this. But if someone was sitting next to you and they saw and heard and put their own feelings around exactly the same event that you see, it may be completely different. And what most people don't realise is that a belief is not fact. People believe their beliefs are fact, when often it's not. So let me explain this a little bit further. Fact: Dad left home. Teacher yelled at class. It's a warm day. These are just facts. But you may have put a belief around them. Dad left home because of me. Teacher thinks I'm stupid. It's too warm to play outside. Now you're probably going, well, Joy, it's not that cut and dry. Dad left home. There are probably many reasons why Dad left home. It may be because of a broken marriage. They may not have been able to support the family. He may have had depression, or in such a bad spot, he left to protect the family. Whatever the reason is, the fact is, Dad left home. It probably is not because of you. However, it's what we as a small child puts around that fact that becomes our belief. And we grow up with this in our subconscious. And to us, it becomes fact. If we look at the teacher may have yelled at the class because he was having a bad day, or she was being stirred by the boys in the back, or whatever. You might have been looking at a maths problem that you were having difficulty in solving when that teacher yelled at the whole class, not you, at the whole class. And you put a belief system around it. I'm stupid. I can't do this maths thing. The teacher's yelling at us. We're all stupid. I'm stupid. Do you see where I'm going? Often our big beliefs are the things we are unaware of, as we can, at a more specific time, put a belief around them. It's often not the root of all your beliefs, but this little belief could be the one that's causing you to self-sabotage. Let me give you another example. Say you're a smoker. You don't light up that cigarette and go, I'm smoking to give me cancer. What you're doing is you're smoking because you've associated pleasure with it, not pain. If you smoke, you may be using that as a way to relieve stress, to escape from a crowd, to relax, to socialise. So the belief around it is that smoking is pleasurable because it's a stress relief and it's comfortable and social. Does that make sense? Because what you're thinking of is the pleasure. You're not thinking I'm lighting up this cigarette because I want cancer or I want to put my body at risk of cancer. You're thinking of the pleasure. You know, quite often we self-sabotage because we're scared of that little bit of pain. It's like a comfort zone. You push that little bit when you go to a coach. You push that little comfort zone a little bit. Feels uncomfortable. But then after you've done whatever coaching it is, whether it's business or hypnotherapy or whatever it is, that comfort zone feels comfortable again. And then you push it that little bit more, stretching it, feels uncomfortable, and then it's comfortable again. So if you look at the belief here of how can you run a business if the root of your belief is that you're stupid? Every time you get to where you want, what comes up? It's often these little hidden beliefs that trip us up, not the large ones that we've worked on. I actually heard on the news last night that a study showed us that if someone even unintentionally disrupts your day, it can make you have a bad day for the rest of the day. Now, this could be accidentally elbowing you or pushing you as you get onto the train, standing on your foot. But I wonder, is that because of a belief from a child? That this research showed that it was 88% of people responded to unintentional events. What do you think this is? You're right. It's because we have a belief around a fact. It may simply be that the man got onto the train and then turned around and accidentally bumped you. He wasn't deliberately doing it. So it's really important to be aware of fact and beliefs. And how does it affect you? Well, the fact is, the teacher yelled at class, and you now believe the teacher thinks I'm stupid, so you must be stupid. The fact is, business goes well, and what do you think? It's not going to last because I'm stupid. Now, this is really simplistic, but this is actually how it affects people. And it's not the major mindset you need to work on. It's the little roots behind the beliefs that you've got. So how does it work? You have an event happen. You maybe run a 5-day challenge, and it's fantastic. You got so many people signed up, and one person who's signed up is someone you admire and respect. And you start to think, I'm stupid. How can I run this program to this person I admire and respect? What have I got to offer? All the beliefs around being stupid and your knowledge and your expertise start to come out into a behaviour. And quite often, it's the self-sabotage behaviour. So logically, we know what we need to do, but subconsciously or unconsciously drives our behaviour. So change is easy, isn't it? Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. Why do you think you have to keep going back to do mindset work? I'd just like to give you a really quick explanation of how the brain moves before we move on into the 3 keys and awareness. So imagine this is your brain, and all these little things are called neuron pathways or pathways. These, you can't actually see them, but these, imagine them. You start off as a baby here and you start learning things. So when you start to cry, you know you're going to get fed, and it fires off. Cry, get fed, fires off. Cry, get fed, cry, get fed, cry, get fed. And this pathway is easy for the brain. You cry, you get fed. Then you need to start walking, and you need to create a different pathway. So take a step, fall down, take a step, fall down, take a step, fall down, walk, walk, and walk, walk, walk. It creates a pathway. It takes time to create a pathway because the brain is ultimately lazy. That's why I say it's not your fault. So when you want to change something, you need to create a new pathway. And to begin with, the brain goes, nah, not going down there. I know this way. I'll go this way. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Money doesn't come easy. Money doesn't come easy. Money doesn't come easy. What we want to have is, I am a success. I am a success, for example, whatever your focus is. So it takes time to create that new pathway. And there's ways to do it more easily than others. And that's the work that I do. I do mindset healing. But first, we need to understand what the root, what the fact of your belief is. So to make this even a bit more simplistic, imagine that you've heard about a brand new cafe and it's on the other side of a big wheat field. This wheat is taller than you are, but you can smell the food. You can smell the coffee or the turmeric latte or whatever floats your boat. This cafe has had rave reviews. And you want to go there. But the only way to get there is through this head-high field of wheat. You can't even see where you've got to go. And even if you start going through, how do you know you're going in the right direction? So this is like the neuron pathway. It wants to go, but it gets hard. So it says, no, I'm not going. It wants the pleasurable outcome of eating or drinking, but it's too hard. So it stays here in pain of not getting to the cafe. So like a neuron pathway, if you start walking or you start your pathway, you will find that it's quite difficult. You've got to push your way through, you get weak seeds in your hair, you may get hay fever or it's itchy, and you most likely want to give up. But you persist and you keep going and you're going and you're going, and you come out over here when the cafe is actually here. Then it's easy to walk along the fence line and you get there. And what do you get? A pleasurable outcome. So now your conscious mind goes, yum, that was beautiful, that's pleasurable. And your unconscious goes, now I've got to walk back. And then the next day you do it. And then the next day, back and forth and back and forth. And what happens is that the wheat seeds stop getting in your hair. You stop getting hay fever because, like cows in a paddock, you create your own path. It becomes well-worn. You don't even have to think about where you're going, you just follow it. And that's what a neuron pathway does. It becomes well-travelled and your behaviour responds to that path. Now, I hope that makes neuron pathways a little easier. But I want you to know that because you have to change something, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you were wrong in the first place. It doesn't mean that your business is not going to be a success. It doesn't mean anything else except you're learning and growing. That's all it is. Don't put a belief around it. The fact is, you didn't know what was happening. You've now discovered it was a root of a belief, and now you can become aware of it and move on. Simple. The past and future, you need to understand this. It's the same thing as change not meaning you're a failure. The past is over. It's fact. You cannot change it. This very minute is the start of your future. And this is the moment you have control over. This is the moment you can change. This is the moment you can stop the self-sabotage and become aware of what it's doing. So let's get into it. Over the heavy stuff now. Who's ready to find out 3 ways to bust self-sabotage and understand and become aware of what it is? So the first one is really simple. Instead of saying, oh, I should have done this, I should have known better, oh, I should have known I'm a failure, I should have not done this, I should have known better, I should have done this and that and this instead of this, this and that. Instead of saying should and shouldn't, get curious as to why. Get curious. Is it a belief that I'm reacting like this, or is it just a reaction? Get curious as to what caused you to sabotage unconsciously. So we want you to think consciously. We want to start being aware. Look back on your business, or even if you're in the middle of a dip. How are you feeling? What's different to when you were feeling up and everything was in flow? The roller coaster was on the way up, not down. How were you feeling? What emotions did you have? What words were mostly in your journal? And if you're in a dip now, what's the word that's coming up for you? And just get curious and go, oh, that's interesting. I'm procrastinating. because I don't think anyone's going to like my free opt-in I've got. Or might as well just have that extra donut because it's not going to matter anyway, I'm fat. Or, interesting, I've just got all this money and all I'm doing is spending it. Curious to know why that is. Now, I'm making it sound simplistic, but if you start saying the words, and I've seen this with clients, they come to me for a focus session and they go, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, or I shouldn't have done this. And it's a first world problem, Joy, I know that. It shouldn't bother me. Change the words from should and shouldn't to I'm curious to know why it did bother me. I'm curious to know the word I'm using. It takes away the emotion behind it from should and shouldn't. Just get curious. Shrug your shoulders when you say get curious. Be the cat and just observe and go lightly on yourself. It's really interesting to tap into what's going on. Is there a small frown on your face and you're wondering, what the? Get your journal out and jot it down. And when you're jotting it down, what we're looking for from being curious is an awareness around our emotions or our awareness around beliefs. And what you'll find often, there'll be a word there that is your trigger. I don't know if you've ever become a keyboard warrior on someone else's post when they say something that you believe is not right. Oh, the laptop lifestyle, it's so easy. You don't need to work, just take your laptop and live around the world. Is that a trigger for you when you're working your butt off to make this business sustainable and grow? Or is it someone who's, oh, it only costs me $500,000? No, that's petty change. Is it money that triggers you? Or is it a belief that they're better than you because they've got money? I want you to have a look, become curious around your emotions and curious about the trigger. Get your journal out again, because it's interesting to see. Quite often it's a word or a situation. Is it money being deposited into your account that makes you feel like, I don't deserve it? Then look at it deeply. Be curious and really sit with it. Write down all the words around money or bank or family or people, everything. Brain dump it all and see which one or two words feel really uncomfortable, because those words will be your trigger. And often that trigger is the root of a belief that you really weren't aware of that could be causing your self-sabotage problem. And then lastly, take action after. Don't become a keyboard warrior and slam out a message, or don't get online and having a huge rant or meltdown about something. Stop. Become mindful. And as I said in my introduction, being mindful is about being present. It's about being present and non-judgmental. So before you take any action, do it after. Let the emotion come up. Be curious like a cat. Jot down and find your trigger words, and then stop. I don't want you to take action straight away. This is your business, your passion, your love, your life. You don't want to go onto Facebook and risk losing some rapport or trust you've got with people. You don't want to slam out an email and lose some of your tribe. This is often what I see. You lose clients And you might go on and apologise or do another Facebook Live video explaining it away. But the damage can be done. Please just stop, be curious, write it down, stop. Don't do anything, just be curious. So how can you actually stop yourself responding to a trigger? Well, I've got some tips on that. You might think that these fidget spinners are brand new. They are, but the theory behind mindfulness equipment, as they call it in the science world, is actually sound. What they find is that doing something with your hands or becoming mindful of your present actually lets your logical or your conscious brain take over again. So grab a fidget spinner, grab a stress ball, grab those cube things, a Rubik's cubes, whatever it is. We've all heard of stress balls. That's where they've come from. It's a mindfulness piece of equipment. So I'd like you, next time you feel you're going to become a keyboard warrior, or you feel now that you're aware of it, you're going to self-sabotage your business, I want you to grab a pen. And if you haven't got a pen that goes click, 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 you need to buy yourself one, especially with your journal. But I want you, next time you cannot logically think that everything seems too much, that you've hit a trigger or you've hit a belief, I want you to grab that pen. I want you to turn your back on wherever you were looking or whatever task you were doing. And I want you to hold that pen in your hand. Notice if it's in your left or your right hand. Don't need to judge it, just notice. Notice if it's your thumb going to press down the clicker or if it's a finger. Have you got your whole wrist curled around that pen or just clasped gently in the fingers? Notice the colour and then gently click it down and then click it up in your own time. That's perfect for you. And keep doing this for at least a minute or two, because what this is doing is calming down the emotions behind a belief. It's bringing you back to the present and mindfully creating focus on your purpose, but in a non-judgmental way. So let it go. Click down, click up, and keep clicking it in your own time. And what you'll find is that you can then turn back to your task with a clearer mind, a clearer focus on your purpose, and a logical mind that knows what action to take. So, there are some more tips that you can do. I've said to make sure you write down your emotions. Now, I've put my computer here because I've actually got a spreadsheet of my business plan with my financials, and then on the third tab in an Excel sheet, I actually have my emotion journal. So it's all in the cloud. So I update my financial plan. I check if I'm on business, update everything I need to, and then I go over and write down the emotions I feel. Now, I know this sounds really boring, and it's not really me, but it's how I'm organising it at the moment that works for me. So if that works for you, I'm happy for you to try it, or just grab a journal and write down your emotions you feel, any words, anything that comes up. What triggers did you notice? And the reason I've done mine in 3 is that I can then go back between one tab and the other and see if it's correlating between my sustaining my business. Is it correlating my low moments with my low financial or successful business. And the other thing that I actually really love, and this is not a free app, but it's the one that I use because it's really simple. But there are many, many on the iTunes store. But just recording your emotions, it's the same thing as a journal. And you can click in any of the quadrants and it gives you a range of words. This one, for example, is frustrated, but there's other words that might fit. And so you click that and it moves it to the quadrant. What it does then, it actually says why. Why do you feel frustrated? Or why do you feel calm? Or why do you feel blissful? Whatever is the mood that you've selected. And it's a great way of putting some words around it. And then, once you've entered those words, it says, I want to stay here or I want to shift to here. If you've put in frustrated, I'm sure you don't want to stay there. So you would select, I want to shift to, and it allows you to select it. And what the brain focuses on, the brain gets. And it's a fabulous way of tracking your mood. Now, as I said, I'm not affiliated with this one. This is the one that I found the best for me. Jump online and see if there's something, because we all have our phones with us. So there's a couple of tips for you. So in summary, it's not your fault. It's your brain's fault. It's been going along this pathway forever. So just be aware of it. Start to notice. Remember that beliefs are not fact. Beliefs are not fact. Change can be easy once we understand it. Remember, the past is fact. Can't change it. The future, though, is in your control. This very instant and forevermore is in your control. And to get that control, be curious. Be curious about emotions you're feeling. Take away the should and shouldn'ts. Be curious. Curious to know why I thought that. Curious to know why I left that at home. Curious. And then look for your triggers. Look for the triggers in those emotions. What fires you up? And then make sure you take action, but wait. Wait to take the action. Do a simple method like the pen click that I said through this webinar. Or grab a stress ball or grab a fidget spinner. Whatever you do, you need to put your whole focus on that mindfulness equipment. Mindfulness toys do work. Journal, journal, journal. Journal the emotions. If you want to journal gratitude and events, etc., that's fine. But journal your emotions. Be curious to the emotions. Be curious about the triggers. Be curious about the action you would have taken if you hadn't done a mindfulness work. And I've put in here again, it's not your fault. So take away the blame and learn that it's not your fault and that you can change through mindset healing. And as I always say, seek support for mindset healing, not mindset work. Because what we need to do is get to the very, very crux of that root where that belief started to build up around a fact. You don't need more mindset work, you need mindset healing. So if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear them. I've had some come up during the webinar, and some of the people have said they've kept emotional journals but have never really thought to correlate it with the dips and the highs in their business, so that's fabulous. Another one has said, what do I do when I have a negative emotion and I can see I've linked it through a negative experience in my business? And to that I answer, you're halfway there, because awareness is really your key. Awareness that you've actually found something that has impacted your business. So around that, I would still say to continue journaling, become aware of it, do the healing and go, it's not my fault. What is the trigger around it that impacted my business? And then become aware of it and take action by the simple things of becoming mindful of it. I'd really love to thank, I've loved the questions, and it's fantastic to see that people have linked it through to beliefs. And I've had one person here who said they've never heard of fact versus beliefs, or the fact builds the beliefs. So I'm glad I could help you with that today. And what I'd like to do, if you would like to seek some support, there's something you need to do first. I can help you get focused and overcome self-sabotage and get to the roots of those limiting beliefs. However, you need to do something first. You need to shrink the size of your butt. But I should know better. But I shouldn't have done this. But I know how to do it. But I don't know how to do it. But I know better. Before you can do anything, you need to get rid of that but. And if after all of that you would love some support, I'd love to help you with some mindset healing. So what I'm offering just for the webinar today, it expires on November the 10th at 11 a.m, is a focus session. It's a 2-hour focus session, one-to-one. It can be face-to-face or it can be online. And we will recognise a belief that is self-sabotaging your business. What is in your control? What is out of your control? What is the belief that you are finding triggers you into self-sabotaging? What is the pain and the pleasure, like I talked about? And we'll target it with action after we've done some mindfulness work. And as a further bonus, if you decide to go further with me, I would love to offer you a 3-month focus package so we can really delve into it deep and make sure that we've made lifelong changes. So you don't ever have to do mindset work again on this. And that's the option to purchase it for $12.50. If you sign up in that focus session with me, you can have that package for $12.50. But there's no push to sell that package. You may not have worked with me before. How better to get to know how I work than with a special one-on-one session? So I'm offering it to you for $125 for 2 hours, face-to-face or online, one-to-one, where we get to the nitty-gritty of recognising the beliefs that are self-sabotaging your business. And if you're interested after that to work with me on an ongoing basis, you can book that 3-month package for a special price of $12.50. I really want to thank you all. I love the chats and the comments and the awareness and the aha moments and the feedback. Thank you so much. If you're interested in booking, please let me know. You can email me, you can contact me at my website. All the details are up on the screen. Or you can even call me. I do love to talk with people, and I do have a free 15-minute chat if you'd like to discuss that any further. So thank you very much. I hope you've got some awareness about what could be causing you self-sabotage, that you've got those 3 quick tips that will raise even more awareness, the method for calming down before you take action, and an offer that is a great way to find out the support that is there for you when you need it. So if you work with me or you work with someone else, please focus on mindset healing. And as I always say, make sure you fill every single day with joy. Make it a good one. Bye for now.